especially the young people, they have started talking about eco anxiety, or I would say climate anxiety. Even I suffered from it initially. Like I would say, like when in 2009 I started focusing on climate change, because you can see this is a disaster happening, and like you're moving towards a running train, so you know accident is going to happen. So in that situation, yeah, you do get that anxiety. So I perfectly sympathize or empathize with people who say that yeah, they suffer from climate anxiety. Now let's talk about it.
Hey folks, that was Aditya Pundir, the director of India and South Asia at the Climate Reality Project. He has actively participated in creation of sustainable development goals and has been associated with UNDP, World Bank and UNESCO. He has trained over 17,000 educators across India, published books, comics and lecture series on climate issues. Today, we gain insights into developing a climate positive mindset that inspires real actions. I'm your host, Vedant Vyas, and this is Positive Planet, a podcast about thoughts and ideas on climate change. Subscribe and join me on this journey to a sustainable future. Hello, Aditya sir. Welcome to the Positive Planet. I hope you are doing well. What's going on?
Thank you so much, Vedant. It's been a lot of traveling all around the place, and I'm actually being impacted by climate change. I was just in Maharashtra last week, traveling in the interiors of Maharashtra, and it's not supposed to be raining in this part of the calendar year. It generally ends at September first week, and it was raining like crazy in Pune. It was raining like crazy in Satara, Sangli, Kolhapur. Like it was, you had to be very careful that you don't get stuck up in these heavy rains falling all over. So yeah, we're living the climate change now.
Okay, a lot of things to talk of. But today I would like to focus with you, since you work on behavioral change and carrying out different programs, about the thought process and the behavior that is associated with climate change. So I want to start in a reverse fashion. Let me start with the destination for people to think on climate change. Do you think there is hope for people to actually reverse the effects of climate change?
Yes, I think climate change, definitely it is an existential crisis. It has taken a little bit of time for people to realize, and of course this realization, as climate reality project, has been talking about it since more than a decade. Initially the thought process was that people would say it's happening, it's not happening, because it's all scientists who are talking about it, or probably people like from people, organizations like climate reality talking about it. But now people are actually feeling it, whether it is the droughts of Maharashtra, whether it is this unwelcome and unusual time rain which is happening all over the country, causing disaster to the agriculture, or it is the, you can say, this intense heat which you've been facing for the last couple of years, whether it's Europe going at 47 degrees or Delhi touching 50 degrees. So these type of events were probably initially once in 100 years event, but now they're happening every year, and every year it's higher than the last year. So a new record gets made. So because of this, now living with this climate change, people have started accepting it a little bit, and people have also started figuring out, even if they don't call it climate change, they're trying to figure out what is happening and why is it happening. So because the agriculturists and the people who are working in nature were already talking about it for last decade, but now the normal person, the person sitting in the cities, people who are not directly related with these natural resources, they are the ones who started now feeling the pinch, and they have started questioning that why is it happening and what can we do about it. So that's something which has happened, and I'm quite hopeful that now with the realization coming in, it'll take time, because it is something which is not happening to you, like of course, like when a flood comes, you will be a converted person this next day once you get hit by a flood. But unfortunately, most of us still, who are not directly impacted by such extreme events, generally have this so many things to do about, so they are taking their time to come. But I'm quite hopeful, the question you asked, that we will, I think, we are quite hopeful. And now literally, if you take a sample size of 100%, as far as scientists are concerned, 99% scientists are on board and saying that not only is it happening, they are recording it, and they're coming out with solutions also. They're also giving us solutions. Now it will be the political will. We'll have to all come together and say yes, we want to do these changes. Because if it's going to be business as usual, then of course there's no hope. But I'm quite sure that we humans have survived. We have survived plagues. We have survived pandemics. We have, and you saw what happened in the 2020 with COVID happening. So we have survived these things, and I'm quite sure, I'm very hopeful that we will be able to ultimately we prevail over it.
That's like a really nice way to put it, because uh, on the heels of it comes my follow-up question that from what I have been talking with my podcast guests is that there's a certain persona people start to think of as in this is the personality you should adopt if you want to act positively towards the climate. So you should not be using this, you should not be doing this and that and all. And people think on extreme kind of thinking. So I think that leads to inaction, and the behavioral change gets restricted in that thing. So according to you, what should be the right way of thinking? Maybe a little optimum approach.
You're absolutely right. Like sometimes people can get overwhelmed by the type of solution. Like, for example, somebody rattling off, do this for transportation, do this for energy, do this, blah, blah, blah. So many things will tell you some solution. So person get overwhelmed. So that is why its reason is that, like what we are doing through our programs like Green Campus program, we're trying to talk to the students and the young people in the universities. We're trying to talk to them so that it becomes part of their life, their living process. Like I'll give you a few examples. Like, for example, all of us are going to the universities with water bottles. Now, if I simply change my water bottle to a metal bottle, I start taking up new plastic bottle every day or buying one from canteen every day. I keep my own bottle with me or I keep my own cup with me. So I have solved a sort of a, I've at least in my 3 years at the campus or 4 years at the campus, so many bottles got saved. About 1,000 bottles I've saved, which I could have used every day buying one. So there's small changes. It's not that we are looking at a radical change of like person. Like again, a lot of people say you have to absolutely go vegan in case you want to solve climate crisis. Again, I'm a moderate person. Like it's no. If you want to enjoy your meat, fine, go ahead, have it. But only thing is, look at how you can reduce it, how you can be moderate about it. Like for example, instead of over, and another thing is very important is how you consume, being a responsible consumer. That is the only thing you have to look after in case you want to be at a personal level, do things about climate change. So you're once you are a responsible consumer, a lot of things will just flow in, and it will not be a very, I would say, an extreme persona we are looking at of a person who's, so it's somebody who's he's a person who's actually being responsible. He's reusing things. He's not trying to discard things. He's eating his whole burger. He's eating his whole pizza. He's not eat ada khao ada peko. So he's not so he's not in that philosophy. These things are not, I would say, extreme. These things are just being a little responsible, not going around plucking flowers from every tree you see. So these are small things like which will take us towards positive. And of course, big things like whether how you get your transportation done, whether you are trying to use an EV, whether you are trying to use public transport. So these are some good habits, and I'm quite happy to see that the younger generation is now picking up a lot of these things. They are being quite responsible, I would say. And and I would say, and always what happens in Vedant ji is that when you're talking about mass movement, like climate change is mass movement, like it has to be, everybody has to move. It is not possible for 100% people to move. Even when life and death situation of COVID was there, you could see people moving around without mask, and of course people would shout at them, but they were moving around without mask in public spaces. So in climate change is not something like that. So there will be 5 to 10% people who will not follow the rules, they will not follow anything. But even if 70 to 80% people move in the right direction, then I think we are moving in the right direction.
And there's one more concept that I came across while researching on this behavioral change thing, that people who tend to go slightly on the extreme end or maybe start practicing sustainable living or
Mm-hmm.
something, they start suffering from some kind of frustration, which is what is termed now as eco anxiety. And then they feel anxious about, oh, this is going to be a problem. What do I do now? They get insomnia and all those things. So, can you suggest some measures on how you can alleviate these kind of problems if they are going at these extremities?
Yes, that, yeah, this is a one big problem which is emerging now, because as this message of climate change is permeating into the society, a lot of people have, especially the young people, they have started talking about eco anxiety, or I would say climate anxiety. Even I suffered from it initially. Like I would say, like when in 2009 I started focusing on climate change, and I was trained, and I was working more in details. And the more you came to know about it, and the more you worked on it, so it does you, because you can see this is a disaster happening, and like you're moving towards a running train, so you know accident is going to happen. So in that situation, yeah, you do get that anxiety. So I perfectly sympathize or empathize with people who say that, yeah, they suffer from climate anxiety. And another thing I'll tell you here is that another interesting thing which came across was that about 3 years back in one of my programs post COVID, we had run a program for a number of schools in Delhi, and these schools were all doing the summer program in summer holidays. So they are part of our green campuses. And we were teaching children how to do video and write on articles, and how to write blogs, and how to be media savvy. And so we were telling them to write stories. And what emerged, like when all the schools and children contributed, I was devastated when I saw those content. It was 90 to 95%, I would say, content was all about 2014, nothing remaining. It will be oxygen cylinders, and it will be all like, it was absolutely like the picture was very bleak, which they were painting. So that really told me, and or I got my some that this is, we have to work on the factor of hope, because hope is very critical in eco anxiety. And it's not the question of that it's a doomsday approaching. And I don't agree at all to people who say that's a doomsday and that let's not do anything about it. We are working towards solutions. So I think the best way to work on climate anxiety is, one one should start working towards something I would call a solution part of it. Like for example, do something about it. Like, okay, fine. As I say, even as simple as carrying a bottle or of metal bottle, or doing some responsible transportation, going by public transport, taking a metro. So all these things, start doing something which is positive. So this is first thing you can do. Second thing I think you can do is, which I found very practical, and I do it even until today. I'm doing it every day. Is do get yourself involved with some nature-based activity. Like I personally go out for a walk every day for about an hour, and I choose a park, I choose a woods. Like if I'm traveling, I travel literally 200 days in a year. Even if I go to a city, I go out for a walk, and I generally try to stay near a place where there's got a park or something. So I go inside the greens. So idea is go in between the greens, or if you have a lake, blue or green strategy as I call it, go near a lake, a water body, or go near a green places. Every place you got trees, etc. There, go there for a good walk, 30 minutes walk, 40 minutes walk, and you will see that relaxation setting in. So that's another very potent strategy I found for getting over eco anxiety. And the third thing you can do is, of course, join your voice, because there are a lot of conversations happening. A lot of conversations now happening in the universities, in the schools, even in the larger spaces about climate change and about other things. May not be directly climate change, but things like other eco things like waste problem, water issues, air quality, pollution issues, which ultimately lead to climate change issues. So join those conversations, give in your voice, and tell that, okay, I belong to the side which wants a solution. Don't be passive. I think the biggest problem which generally people do is they are very passive about it. It doesn't concern me. Why should I get into it? At least let the people know. I'm not saying go and fight for it. At least let people know that you don't agree. You agree to that it should be solved. This problem should be solved. This will again lead to your eco anxiety going down. You will feel you have done something positive. So action, I think, is very important. And these small actions, if you're going to take, it's going to reduce your eco anxiety. And of course, hope. Don't lose hope, I would say.
I want to talk about these actions. When you talk about actions, let's start with the smaller actions in general. Okay, let's say I'm doing very simple actions. I'm carrying my own. Like I'll talk on my own thing. I carry a metal bottle. I generally don't overbuy, overconsume when it comes to clothing and fashion, because I've recently got to know that fashion is something that's contributing a lot to the emissions and all those things. These are 3, 4 things that I'm still doing. I'm trying to moderate on other things as well. And yeah, like we just discussed, that I'm not able to do extreme things. It won't be possible for me, but I try to do it as much as I can. Now, there is a slight problem here that I observe while doing these things, which might be a problem that other people will empathize with. We do not see the change happening in front of our eyes. And at the same time, I am living in a world, or my generation is living in a world where we have instant gratification. We want entertainment, we open the TV, we can do that. We want to have food, 15 minutes delivered. Climate change does not act like that. The reversing does not act. So, what will be your advice to people how to build that thinking?
Well, you're absolutely right. If climate change had an instant solution, I would have loved to take it myself, I'd love to take it myself and implement it. But unfortunately, yes, that's true. But when you are doing these things and you see people around you sometimes are not doing it, and yeah, it disheartens you many times. But the thing is, again, as I said, uh, there's a very very old, I would say, a theory like of change, which is like it says that whenever there's a problem, then generally it's the people like activists, educators who do about it. They'll go about telling the problem. Then the government will come out with some policies that, okay, don't do this. And then there's no solution still. So then for the solution or a technological solution to come out in the future, there's a long gap generally. And in that gap, education fills in. Education, training, they fill in. They tell people, okay, till the time we reach there, this is how we should behave. So this is how it's been happening for a number of times, and I think that is where the education comes in. That we have to tell people more and more, educate. A lot of people are doing it because they don't know about it. Also, many times, as I said, that's why the role of people like you who are putting up these podcasts and all becomes very critical. Because thing is, if I know that this is the right thing to do, I may not do it once, twice, but once you know it's wrong, that your subconscious that starts hurting you once or twice. Then you say, okay, yeah, kar lete hain types, let me also try it. So people do get converted, and as I said right in the beginning, out of 100, don't expect all 100 to be converted. Idea is even 70, 80 gets converted, good enough. Let that 15, 20 will take their time. There'll be laggards who will take their time, and some will never get converted. They will be on the opposite side. They want to be different. They'll say, oh well, if this guy is doing this, I'm not going to do this. I want to be different. So we have to live with it. But the thing is, I think one shouldn't get disheartened. You should do your things, and I'm quite sure. And again, I'm talking about something very practically. Like as I tell you, I keep traveling all over the place. People I have started seeing people doing things like as I told you, I was in Maharashtra. There were people talking about banning plastic in villages. So at that level, people have started thinking. They're talking about the bags. We should get back to bags, plastic ban karo, and those things. So people have started talking about it already. This message has started permeating. So people are looking at probable solutions. Now the idea is, how do we make it easy for them? So there again, the people who are innovators, people who can think differently, they'll come in. If they can come up with solutions which are doable, which people can easily follow, and I'm quite sure a lot of people will change sides. People who are not doing things today, they'll start doing it. And of course, peer pressure. Once people are educated and they start seeing people doing things, then slowly people start changing. Behavior takes time. It's not easy. Like behavioral change takes time. Like you look at smoking, like how smoking was so prevalent and it was supposed to be good. Like, for example, like in case you are a young person and you are not doing smoking part of it, it was not considered good. Like it was because that means you are missing on something in life. But now you see in campuses, smoking is not really looked upon as a very good thing. People say, oh God, he's smoking, let's sit in some other room. So get socially ostracized, you get sometimes. So same thing has to happen slowly. It'll happen slowly. I'm not expecting that you'll get results at instant gratification tomorrow, but it'll happen slowly. It is something which will take time.
I'm going to move to the next level of action. So this was with respect to me. Now I'm going to the immediate surroundings I have. Uh, and I want to know how you respond to this situation because, like you said, you have also had a bit of eco anxiety. You're continuously meeting with people. Okay, so you are doing these things, okay, and the person who you live with probably can be your family members, can be your immediate friends or something, are doing the exact opposite. Like I have people in my family who will overbuy without any reason. I've had like Vedant, I saw this T-shirt, two, three T-shirts that are good for you. I bought all these three T-shirts. I'm like, you didn't have to buy those three T-shirts. That was not a requirement. Now the person behind in my head is like I'm extremely irritated, but the person in the front is someone I respect, someone I cannot scold, so I can't let out my anger, my irritation. So does something similar happen to you? How do you respond to this?
Yes, it happens. Yeah, as I told you, like I would say it's like something like cyclonic. It's happening this side. Things are moving in different direction. Yeah, that's true. It is happening, and you have close family members sometimes who are, or people, loved ones, who are not behaving the way you would like them to behave. But then again, I would say that thing is no issue. I think in case of polite conversations, you can bring up these issues. It's not necessary that one should get into a fight, I think, and tell the person that, okay, well, shut that person down, or do those things, because that will only antagonize people more. That only antagonizes more. The idea is, I think, one of the best solutions is when, if you are, especially with your close ones, is the best solution is if you can show them what you are doing, and if you can talk about it, like your personal, what your behavior is, like what your personal purchase decisions are, like how you are choosing things, like instead of buying your next car, you go for an electric vehicle. Why did you buy? They'll all ask you, why didn't you go for the SUV, the biggest SUV in town? So they say, no, 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 I went for this electric EV, or I went for the hydrogen car, probably, which you're working on. So the thing is, yeah, they'll say why, and they will be slightly confused why you're doing it, and that make them think. So I think, yeah, that is why I think I don't recommend fighting with your family members or people just to make them. But the time you start doing things in a way, it'll have an effect.
So the percolation of that effect will slowly
Yeah.
and slowly start to disseminate. Okay, that's good to know. And now I'm going to the final level of behavioral change here. That I am doing it. Probably people around me are also doing it a little bit, of course, with their capacity. I have the ability to communicate to these people, to share my emotions, to share my thoughts. But when it comes to leaders, when it comes to the political will that you talked of in the very start, you might get irritated with the kind of policies that are being taken out. Like, just to take an example, currently I reside in Gurgaon, and I think there has been some issue going on with the waste management, landfill waste management problem that happens in Gurgaon. And because those legal proceedings and criminal proceedings or whatever are going on, in the meantime, the Bandwari landfill is piling up. Chemical is getting leached into the waters. People around are getting affected. And now the inaction from leaders, the inaction for people who have the ability to make large scale change also gets to my head. Now, again, what should be my way of handling this?
Yeah, definitely. As I say, political will is extremely important, because you might be thinking of a similar way, but it is ultimately the decision makers who create a lot of, who will be taking a call on it. What I feel is that, of course, decision makers today, if you see the politics behind it, a lot of people are being educated about it, and believe me, a lot of these policymakers who are sitting in these headquarters, who are bureaucrats, senior bureaucrats, they're very well aware of the problem. And Indian government, as you see, has in the past, probably since the last 10-15 years, has one of the most aggressive clean energy policy in globally. Like, for example, as far as the renewable energy is concerned, solar panels are concerned, probably we are, and as you were part of hydrogen project, the hydrogen industry is concerned, our country is one of those countries which is moving very aggressively forward and trying to work toward a solution. So that takes, so policy is there now. Now the problem is, there are a lot of problems, especially when we are talking about these issues, is that there's an equity problem, because there are a lot of poor people. Sometimes there are a lot of poor people involved, a lot of people, a lot of livelihoods involved. So that becomes a place where confusion starts. The people are not able to think, people are not able to take a solution, because how the solution can be a just solution. So those issues sometimes become important. Now there are some politicians who are right, or I would say a politician, I would say people in power. Because a
Mhm.
politician is a very would be a very narrow term, I would say, because people in, sometimes politicians don't know this. It's the bureaucrats who are taking a call, so, or somebody else may be taking a call. So whoever is taking the call, those people in power, I think it's very important that we are able to communicate to them that this is what the right thing is, this is what the thing is. As I said, add your voice. And another thing, which especially in a democracy, what I have personally seen is that the leaders are very sensitive to what's happening on the ground. If the people start asking that I want this type of solution, I'm looking for this, they will immediately start responding. The problem is that we are also to be blamed partially. We just don't ask those things. Whenever we meet them, whenever we are making something, we're talking something else. We are never actually asking, we want this specific solution. So I think we should be very clear in putting up our demands and making our for example, when these people come to meet you, so make it clear that I'm looking for this solution. I'm looking for as you said about waste management, talking about, that's a very, very critical thing now. And waste is not only causing so much of methane emissions but for climate change, but waste is again, as they say, is a misplaced wealth. A lot of that waste could be converted into energy, can also be helped for recycling. As I said, like recycling industry, we can start throwing away our phones. If you can just recycle them, you can get the minerals out of them, metals out of them. No need to mining needs will reduce. So those issues, I think we'll have to be very we'll have to put up to the decision makers that this is what we are looking for. And I think again, there a role of media, role of agencies is very important, because the more they create an atmosphere of this is the right and this is the wrong thing, and these wrong things get exposed, so that puts a further pressure.
Okay. The final question here is, you have been in conversations with, I think, people of different levels, right? From the grassroots levels to the people in power or something. If you can share this, that this is the level of thinking that we are currently operating at, and this is where we need to reach. So this gap, this delta, what is missing? What do you think? Would you like to share in that?
Currently the situation is that we don't have the solutions currently. That's the situation. It's that a lot of solutions have to come out, because if you see, climate change is a very complex problem. It consists of, like, for example, we are doing so much of flying these days. So we need whether transportation, shipping, whether it is our moving of so many people. We are 8 billion people now on the planet. So movement of people. So similarly, producing goods for so many people. So the climate change is a problem of actually the population, the consumption, and associated. So how do we, the only way we can channelize it is bringing structural changes. So as I said, that you have to move through education towards till the time the solutions come. So we have to move towards, we have to educate people. We have to tell them that this is the right things and wrong things. And I said, very critically, be a responsible consumer. You have to respect water. You have to respect the trees. You have to respect the plant life. So basically start looking at these, the resources which we have, natural resources around us, in a more respectful way. Try to reduce your consumption, and or be responsible consumption. I wouldn't say reduce consumption, be a more responsible consumer, and reduce the wastage part of it. So these are the critical things we have to look at, and try to, for example, wherever personal things you can do, like for example, uh, uh, you can say our clean energy we are talking about, solar installations. If people can go for solar installations, it is something you can do at a house level. If you're living in a house which is your own personal house, you can put up your solar panels. You can switch off the light at least, because every unit we is a 50% loss of electricity when it comes from the power stations to us, that. So every unit we saves 2 units at the dam or at the powerhouse, wherever it's being generated. So in that situation, you're saving energy at your level, you're conserving water, the water usage you are reducing, you are segregating your waste. So then you are going for this tree planting, whether in the community form, whether encouraging, voting for the right people. So all these things, I think, would be necessary in case we want to move forward, because there's no silver bullet as far as climate change is concerned. There's no silver bullet that, okay, I'll do this, uh, and then the whole problem will get solved. No, it's not. We don't have a vaccine for climate change. So the thing is, it is something where behavioral change has to take place, the policy matter has to change place, and we all have to move in the same direction. And we don't have to, because the targets are very stiff we are looking at. If you look at targets, 2030 emissions should be down by 45%, and by 2050 at least the big emitters should start towards net zero. Then we have some future that things will not go out of hand. So since with these targets around, it's very important that we keep moving in the right direction. That's what I feel.
All right. Uh, so that is all from our questions. And if we have a few minutes, can we shift to a segment of my podcast that I generally reserve for the end as a fun segment? I call it the climate rapid fire. This is just few 7-8 questions which I'll ask you. You have to give me rapid answers, as it says. Should be short, quick. The first thing that probably pops in your mind. So, sir, are you ready for the rapid fire?
Okay, sure, go ahead.
All right. Let's begin. In your daily life, a sight or a visual that angers you or troubles you the most when it comes to climate change.
Smoke coming out of the coal plants.
Right? A book or an article or a video or a publication, something of this sort, that you think is a must watch for someone to understand and get into acting for climate change.
I think the movie, An Inconvenient Truth of Al Gore, which came way back in 2006. Still, I would recommend it as one of those movies, a must watch for anyone.
All right. Your favorite idol or influencer of sorts who's working on climate change.
Of course, I would Al Gore for me, and of course now Greta Thunberg.
Yeah. All right. Your favorite place of travel? Anyone?
Well, it's my home. I love going back to my city, Doon. I come from Dehradun, so I love going back to the Himalayas. Yeah.
All right. So now at this place of travel, you are allowed to put a big hoarding, which is going to gather a lot of impressions, a lot of views, a million or something of that sort. And you have to write one message with the caveat that it has to be related to climate change. Short one. So what will you like to write?
I would write walk softly.
Okay. Uh, you have a superpower to listen to one of the nature's ecosystems. There's lakes, forests, oceans, mountains, all those things, rivers, etc. Whose problems would you like to listen to?
I would like to listen to the problem of, I would say, the problem of life, because as you saw that movie Avatar, like it's life is all, whether it's trees, animals, mountains, we all are linked through a linkage of, like, it's as we call it, it's a life, it's a so yeah, I would like to be linked with all the living world. And
All of them. All right. You have another superpower to interview one organism other than humans. Who would you like to interview, and what do you think will be the topic of discussion?
okay. Yeah, I know, there's so many I'd like to talk to. Well, I think I like to talk to well, you see tigers and everybody is now very well looked after. I would like to talk to these leopards who are now coming all over the city. Like I'd like
Okay.
to ask them about, like, the challenges they are facing now, because now instead of living in forest, they've started roaming around in city of Mumbai. You can see them. Sometimes you can. I just went to some tour. They said even they see leopards now in the city and the villages. So I'd really like to know why they're relocating.
Yeah. All right. And final question. Given $1 billion, what sustainability problem would you like to spend it on?
I would like to put it on clean energy, because yes, I feel that is one thing which is going to have the maximum impact for climate change. If I can put that 1 billion into finding some other sources of energy which are less polluting and can replace fossil fuels, I would like to put that money there.
All right. And that ends our climate rapid fire and our podcast. Thank you, Aditya sir, for your time. I know I took a little more than what was promised. I hope you enjoyed it, and I
Yeah.
hope to meet you soon enough.
Thank you, Vedanta. Wishing you all the best, and keep up the good work, I would say.
Hey folks, I hope you enjoyed the episode. So do like, share, and comment on what you think of it. I'll be talking with many such amazing people who are saving our beautiful planet. So don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you soon.